most people that are on these, we'll call the generic stuff that's out there that most people are taking through their medical doctors, they're losing anywhere between 10 and up to 50% of the weight they're losing in lean mass.
Yes.
Muscle tissue.
Yep.
Now, if you're over 40, even 50 years old, that is extremely detrimental.
Yeah.
And again, I'm meeting friends, people that I know of that have been on some of these branded names, and they've lost, especially women, they've lost their feminine curves. They've gotten that drawn out face. They look sickly because they've lost too much muscle tissue. So the question is, do you want to actually lose weight, or would you rather focus on a better body composition, which would involve many times lowering your body weight, but doing it the right way and actually gaining health rather than losing health?
Yeah, sometimes it's not purely about just weight, what the scale says. We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 Strength and Health Authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode here on the Strong by Design podcast, sitting with a very good friend of mine. I think we've known each other almost 10 years now, which is crazy. Yeah. And a return guest on the show, his second time on the Strong by Design podcast, but you'd have to go all the way back to 2018. And I looked this up. It was episode 30. It was it released Halloween of 2018. So it's been over 7 years since you've been back. And shame on me, really, frankly, for not inviting you sooner. But
it's not like we don't see each other.
Yeah, it's not like we don't see each other and talk. But, obviously there's a lot of different topics and subjects that we could have you on the show to talk about because of your background. And I want to kind of do the proper introduction for our guests just who aren't familiar with you or maybe didn't see episode 30 from back in the day. So my guest today, very special guest and friend and mentor, Dr. Ron Eccles. He's better known as the Success Doctor. You can look him up. He has a website. He's a chiropractor. He's a serial entrepreneur, a business coach, and whose journey spans more than 4 decades. He's older than he looks. I know he looks pretty young. From humble beginnings, struggling in school, to becoming a chiropractor with diplomat training in orthopedics and neurology and sports injury. So obviously a lot of topics there that we could dig into for other episodes. Ron has since built multiple businesses, from running restaurants and investing in real estate to coaching professionals and entrepreneurs. As a business coach and motivational speaker, Ron helps people discover what success truly means to them, and they help build a life that's balanced across the 4 pillars, things that he talks about often in our Saturday morning men's group that I've been part of for many years now. He talks about spiritual walk. He talks about your health. He talks about relationships and strong relationships and your financial well-being. Most recently, though, Dr. Ron has brought his passion for transformation into the health and wellness sphere. And he's launched a fat loss clinic in the Sarasota, Florida area, where he now works with clients around cutting-edge approaches like peptide therapy and GLP protocols to support fat loss and metabolic health. It's a huge topic that has really gotten a lot of attention in just the last couple of years, and I'm anxious to hear more about it myself, because I feel a little dumb in this area. Today on the show, we're going to be digging in deep with Dr. Ron on the peptides, on GLPs, on fat loss, and how a mindset forged in adversity and reinvention can set the stage for lasting transformation in both mind and body. So you were due a proper introduction, and I think now everyone is very familiar with where we're going today. So thanks for driving up here. You're about an hour away.
My pleasure. Listen, I wish my mom was still alive so she could hear that incredible introduction.
I know, right? I was like, that really covered the last 40 years pretty well, didn't it? I didn't name your children's names in that, but or Johanna. I should have mentioned Johanna, your wife.
She's the best part of my life.
Yeah, she is. She's your support system for sure. So all that being said, obviously you're highly credentialed. You have a ton of experience in this world of health. What, for the person listening who is probably closer to where I am at when it comes to knowledge and understanding. What the heck are peptides? And why are they just so popular in the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, when I started down the road of helping people drop body fat, one of the areas that I was really vaguely familiar with was peptides. And then when the technology I was using wasn't getting the results, it wasn't giving me the results I really wanted or that the technology said it would give me. So when I heard about an expert that was giving a master class on peptides, I jumped in with both feet. When I started learning about peptides, it literally transformed our business. We are growing at an exponential rate right now because when peptides are done correctly, they are massively effective and very safe. But the question always is, well, what's a peptide? I feel like it's from My Cousin Vinny. Like, what's a grit? Well, what's a peptide?
What's a grit? That's a great movie.
It is. And so we'll do the 2025 version. Yeah. What's a peptide?
What's a peptide?
And peptide is essentially, well, first of all, peptides are made by our body.
Yes.
They are cell-to-cell communicators, and there's, thousands of peptides that have already been discovered that our bodies make. We are more familiar with certain names, and I'll cover those in just a minute, but basically a peptide is a sequence of amino acids, somewhere between 2 and 50-ish long.
Okay.
And depending upon how long and depending upon the sequence, depends upon what the peptide does.
Gotcha.
So essentially, a peptide's made in a cell in the body, released, it goes to another cell. It's like a key inside of a lock. It unlocks and does one specific activity, and then it dissipates.
Yep.
Right? So now the question is, what kind of peptides would we be familiar with that'll help us dial in? The first one that was produced commercially was back in the 1920s, and most people recognize the word insulin because there's so many people using it. Well, it is a peptide.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, oxytocin. And since now, the last 100+ years, there have been so many different peptides that have been worked with to look at how they are effective in the body. Now, for the sake of this is an educational segment, right? So I'm not anybody's doctor. I'm not intending to diagnose anything. I'm just kind of giving you the benefit of the background and information I have available today and kind of some of the things we're doing at our clinic.
Yeah.
So most people right now are familiar with peptides. There's peptides for many different reasons or many different functions, but most people are familiar with the ones that are being, marketed a lot through pharmaceutical companies that help people lose weight. And everybody in America, I want to say 2/3 of Americans and even some of the others, want to actually lean out and get looking better. Everyone wants to look better. Our goal is to help people not just look better, but we want to improve their health. See, it's kind of like you get your foot in the door. People want to come into us because they want to lose weight, but we want to help them lose fat, not muscle. Yeah. So we focus in on body composition, and we're looking to address utilizing peptides to help people get control of their diet, of their exercise regime, and of their lifestyle so they can actually sustain long-term movement towards better health.
And that's been the problem over the last 50 or so years since our culture has really gravitated towards this like overweight, obese society. You know, if you go back to the 50s, was not the case. Yeah. No one was talking about that. The average person's physical fitness was far, far better. Their diet consisted of mostly whole foods, right? And then this awful thing happened with the food pyramid and everything else, right? Everyone got confused about what was healthy and what was not healthy, and we started to have an advanced technological society where sitting and movement started to become, or lack of movement started to become more the norm. And so now it's like, how do we do it the right way, though, to get people back to true health? And there's been a lot of failed diets and programming and stuff out there over the years. That's what we've been doing at Critical Bench over 25 years, is trying to help people find healthy pathways to that are sustainable. So you talked about that, sustainable. Your clinic isn't just about, here, take this shot and you're good. It's a lot deep. It goes a lot further than that. You're giving people comprehensive kind of, attention.
Yeah, I'm watching people right now, people that I know that are not my clients, who have gone on the peptides that are being marketed online through medical clinics, through healthcare professionals. And I have to say this, and I want to be very respectful because there are many people who are doing it correctly, but there are more people who are not doing it correctly. And because here's why. If we go back to, in America, we are fascinated by what will give us the fastest and best results with doing the least amount of work possible.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
pill,
us.
great.
Right. So when peptides were first discovered in this area for diabetics, it was how to control their insulin production and levels, and it was really the GLP-1 agonist. And so let's talk about that for a minute. GLP stands for glucagon-like peptide, and the GLP-1 is produced in our gut, in our intestines. When we eat food, it's released, it circulates back to an area of the brain that controls our hunger, and it quiets it down. It also slows down the emptying of food from the stomach into the small intestines, so it makes us feel full longer. Whether we're talking about a GLP-1, which does one thing, or a GLP-2 that adds one more component, so it does two things. It's a GLP-1 agonist, which means it helps release our body's own GLP-1s, but it also helps increase the release of what's called GIP, another peptide, that both of those together have even a stronger noise-canceling effect on food. So it helps us control our desire to overeat or eat the wrong things. It helps us with that. The net effect is we take in less calories than our body needs to sustain its energy level. So the body has to make up those calories somewhere. Now, here's where the problem is. It's very critical people listen carefully because most clinics are not giving people the advice on how to exercise and when they should be exercising. They're not giving them what foods they should be eating and what they should be avoiding.
This is what your breakfast should be.
Right.
These are your lunch and dinner options.
Protein, which again,
first.
You guys talk about a lot here. It's so important that it's done correctly because most people, and here's the statistics, most people that are on these, we'll call the generic stuff that's out there that most people are taking through their medical doctors, they're losing anywhere between 10 and up to 50% of the weight they're losing in lean mass. Muscle tissue. Now, if you're over 40, even 50 years old, that is extremely detrimental. And again, I'm meeting friends, people that I know of that have been on some of these branded names, and they've lost, especially women, they've lost their feminine curves. They've gotten that drawn out face. They look sickly because they've lost too much muscle tissue. So the question is, do you want to actually lose weight, or would you rather focus on a better body composition, which would involve many times lowering your body weight, but doing it the right way and actually gaining health rather than losing health?
Sometimes it's not purely about just weight, what the scale says.
100%.
I've had several times over the last 10 years where my weight wasn't very different from where I was. Maybe I was 215 and then I was 210 or whatever. Maybe it was only 5 pounds, but my body composition was way better. And you can see it. You can see it in your definition and in just the way you even your skin, just certain things, just you look different when you're lowering your body fat percentage, but still maintaining your muscle. Like, I would hate to lose my muscle mass that I work so hard for, and I've been working hard for my whole life. So it's just, it really comes down to most of us taking in less calories because we all overeat. Most of us, not you, but most of us do overeat. I know my appetite gets the best of me.
I'm hungry now, Chris. So.
But most people are missing the basic nutrition. That just what's a good diet versus a processed filled diet. And so many people have gone that route, and I feel bad for people because it wasn't part of their learning in school maybe, or it wasn't a focus for them after high school. And then you just forget stuff that maybe you did learn a little bit and it just goes away. And you just find yourself eating for convenience and doing takeout and and not cooking food anymore. And that's the fast pace of life. People's nutrition and their own health is overlooked because their focus is on everyone else, their kids and their spouses and their work.
It's really interesting. My father-in-law is a retired PhD in microbiology from the CDC. Wow. And he abhors RFK. Now, no matter how a person feels politically, push back on him because he's big about vaccines. He believes vaccines have saved more lives than anything else in history, and he's probably right from the standpoint, but that's not addressing our problem in America today. And I said, to my father-in-law, I said, look, if you just look at this major problem, we spend more money per capita on healthcare than any other country in the world, and our health is abysmal.
Yes, right. I think we're the 10th most obese country in the world.
Yeah.
10th.
So if we look at big pharma, and God bless that we have great medicines available for us, and we have great medical doctors and a great healthcare system in so many capacities.
Yes.
Right. My mother-in-law had surgery yesterday, and she's home today. It's marvelous in so many.
Yeah, and these people are amazing. My wife's a hospice nurse.
Yeah.
There's people, and these are wonderful people. Yep. These they give of themselves. Yep. However, there are kinks and there are things broken.
When I went through chiropractic college and I came out, because you're looking at the healthcare industry from a completely different perspective. And with great respect, I had many medical doctors. I mean, I have medical doctors that are. I have a cardiologist,
good
right?
friends of yours, yeah.
But I have, for my own care, and I had 2 heart stents put in a number of years ago, and I thank God for the technology. I thank God for my doctors, right?
Yep.
But are there problems in the system? And the answer is yes, and we need to intellectually look at it and say, where's the problem? So we have big pharma and big agra, which are giants as far as making money goes. And if we don't question and say, hey, do you have our best interest in mind all the time when it comes to that? I would say we would be remiss if we didn't say, let's look at it with a little bit of a skeptical view and let's figure out what's good and what's not good. Yeah. What should we do? What should we not do? Most people don't realize that there was a guy named Moskowitz. I don't remember his first name, but he was a brilliant person who came up with this formula called it has to do with Bliss. I'm going blank on it. I talk about it all the time.
It's okay.
But essentially, it's the perfect combination of sugar, salt, and goodness gracious, you get old and like sugar.
Hey, you need some neural
sugar,
thrive?
salt, and fat.
Oh, okay.
Sugar, salt, and fat. Right. It's a Bliss Point.
Okay.
And this is when the brain lights up when we eat this food because we get this massive dopamine hit and we want more and more of it. Right?
Okay.
So if we look at how the industry hired
and
this
you
guy,
said sugar, salt,
and fat, right? So perfect combination, and we love those combinations together.
do.
Right? But if you look back, when we first started figuring out how can we get people addicted to the foods that will make us the most amount of money as an industry, now you can look at going, they're not really interested in making us healthier and leaner, right? So here's where we're at today. Now, I tell people all the time, if we're going to talk about utilizing peptides, and we'll talk about the GLPs in just a moment, and what other peptides that we use to keep lower doses, and then we stack them to get synergistic effects, to get the maximum results in the shortest amount of time. But I tell people this all the time. If you don't change your relationship with food and exercise, then no matter what you do, when you stop doing that, you'll go back to the same body composition you had before. I get asked this question, if I stop taking peptides, will I get fat again? I said, well, if you stop exercising, will you get weak again? Again, the body responds to what you do to it. So I tell people my goal is to help reintroduce a way of thinking about food to serve your body, but to eat really good food and enjoy your diet. And we use peptides as a bridge to get you from where you're at to where you want to go, and then teach you the options that you have on how to actually maintain it. Now, let me tackle this. That's a big question, and a lot of people are asking right now. So I said there are 3 options. I get asked this question every single day. I said, when you reach your target goal, and I've got people right now that have hit their goals. So I said, you got 3 options. Number 1, stop taking everything. Now, I would say that for a very small percentage of people, they'll be able to keep their exercise levels really tuned in where it should be, and they'll really get their diet tuned in big time. Those individuals will only rebound, research shows, around 5 to 10% of that original body weight, which is great. They're staying in great shape. They've got control of it. That represents in America a very small percentage of people. I say the most people are going to choose option 2 or 3. 2 is you cycle on and off. You break away, you let everything reset, when you feel like you're losing a little bit of control and you're moving down that wrong path again,
Yes.
you just jump back in and you regain control again. Now, that's a viable option for many people.
Yeah.
3 is my recommendation because the people I follow, I'm talking about world-class medical doctors, researchers, people that are in this world who are in great shape, but they still maintain a low level, and we'll talk about GLPs. They take a low-level GLPs to control insulin because as we move down that pathway of lack of control of our insulin, it leads us to what we call metabolic disorder. And metabolic disorder then results in brain, liver, kidney, cancers, all different types of things related to a metabolic disruption. So if we start back at the beginning, we control it, it seems to be a better theory of how to actually keep our bodies moving in the right direction health-wise.
Okay.
So let me go back and dissect this GLP-1, GLP-2, and now GLP-3, which is my favorite.
Okay.
So GLP-1 and 2 categories are called semaglutide or tirzepatide. GLP-1s are semaglutides, GLP-2s are tirzepatides. Now, there's the how do you patent? So there are pharmaceutical companies that have patents on certain semaglutides or tirzepatides.
Yes.
How can they do that? Because if our body makes a peptide,
Yeah. You know, every January we talk about fresh starts, new goals, new habits. But here's something I've learned the hard way. You can't build a better year if your mind isn't clear. If you're waking up foggy, forgetful, distracted. It doesn't matter how many goals you write down, you're starting at a disadvantage. That's why I made NeuroThrive part of my daily routine. It supports the tiny mitochondria inside your brain, the little engines that power your focus, your memory, and your mood, all the things we rely on when life gets busy. And when those engines run better, you run better. You think quicker, you stay present, you follow through. It's amazing how much momentum you can build when your brain is actually firing the way it's supposed to. So if you want to step into 2026 feeling clear, steady, and confident, start with NeuroThrive. Just head to criticalnutritionlabs.com and use code SBD2026 for a special New Year's discount. Here's to waking up sharper, thinking better, and building a year you're truly proud of.
how can they patent something that's natural? They have to change it. So they have a secret sauce. So how do they change it? They want it to last longer in the body. So they use a chemical formula to change it so that it stays for a lot longer, unlike our natural GLP-1s or GLP-2s. So our natural peptides go in, do their job, and then dissipate. They have a short half-life, whereas these altered ones have longer half-lives. Now, I'm about more natural. So again, can I actually work with people utilizing pure GLP-1s and 2s? And the answer is yes. But ours are more natural, and we stack those with other peptides to get better effects. Now, GLP-3, the common question is, well, I heard that it's not FDA approved. And the answer is that's correct.
Most things aren't
most
FDA
things are not. There's not many supplements you'll take that are FDA approved.
Right.
If you go get a joint replacement, chances are it's not FDA approved. So it's just a matter of educating people to say, okay, it hasn't been around as long. The long-term studies aren't there as much, but we still use it because it's. In fact, I use it. GLP-3, if one does one thing, 2 does 2 things, then guess what 3 does? It does 3 things. But here's what the difference is. In GLP-1 and 2, it controls the number of calories you're going to put in, but then your body's got to figure out where to get the extra calories from. Fat and muscle are choices, right? And sometimes if you're not exercising, eating right, it's going to go through both. You're going to burn some lean muscle.
Yeah.
So GLP-3 comes along, and it adds a third one that actually goes after fat burn. So you're converting most of your energy from fat. So you're sparing a lot of the muscle. Now, we also add 2 other peptides in we call it our Alpha Shred program. It's one of my favorite programs to help people lean out and maintain muscle mass. So we add other peptides in there. And by the way, peptides have some funky names. I mean, they got letters and numbers and all different kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
People that are in the world of gyms and workouts and stuff like that seem to be the people that are more educated or semi-educated on peptides. They're familiar with the Wolverine stack or individual peptides for recovering from injuries and stuff. And we can talk about that another time. But when it comes to leaning out, most people are hearing about the GLP-1s or the GLP-2s. In fact, you and I were talking before we got on here. Right now, and people need to really listen carefully. The world of peptides have not been regulated. We're in a world right now pre-regulation, and regulation is going to help certain things.
It's going to help. Wild, wild west.
It's
right
the
now?
wild, wild west because people are literally. If I saw some of the series Breaking Bad, there are people making it in their trailers, people making it in their garage, and then slapping labels on it, and then saying it's certified. And there's a lot of stuff out there, and I'll tell people, buyer beware. I hear about stuff all the time, and people say to me, "Do you know this company? Do you know that company?" I said, "I don't. I deal with a company that I know they actually buy their peptides formulated from U.S.-based labs, which then are regulated because they send their product to an independent source to be evaluated for its purity and its content, the weight of it, right?
Which is third-party testing.
Third-party testing.
Which is what most good, credible companies in supplement world or wherever will do that. Yeah.
And their records of their certificate of authenticity is being held in a third place. So it can be checked, right?
Yes.
Because there are people out there who are using AI to copy someone else's COA, make it theirs, and they're saying we've got the certificate of analysis here, right? So again, you have to be careful. Know you're dealing with somebody because you've got to be getting pure, unadulterated peptides from a legitimate source.
Yep.
Now, let me explain, because I hear people say this to me all the time when they ask me for my prices on stuff, and I give them a price I think is a fair price because I have to make a profit and I have to pay for my peptides, and I buy them from a legitimate source. I said, I have to pay more for mine, and they have to pay more to get it. Why? Because in order for it to be certified, when the base product, if it comes from overseas, it comes into the port, it has to be tested before the laboratories can get it. The laboratories then have to formulate it, put together their product, and they have to test it.
Wow.
The company I buy it from that distributes it to me, they send randomly samples out to be tested. All this testing costs money to make sure that I and my clients are getting the best products available on the market.
Wow.
And if there are people who go, I can get it cheaper over here, and I say, go ahead and go get it. I can't stop you.
Yeah.
I can only advise you and say, just beware that you might not be getting a product that's as pure as they say it is. Because I've seen so many different ads for stuff that it's 99% pure and stuff. And it's like, how do you know?
Yeah.
Now, I happen to know the owners of the company I deal with.
Oh.
They know the laboratories and the formulators. In fact, one of the most exciting things we have coming up, and by the time this podcast airs, we will have a number of our peptides that will be sublingual sprays or nasal sprays, which means they're nano-encapsulated. They're highly formulated for absorbability and utilization, and it's going to change the whole industry. So I'm hearing that the company I'm dealing with, by the end of first quarter, maybe halfway through next year, most of our products going to be non-injectables.
Oh, which will be appealing to a certain number of people who have a phobia. Yeah.
About 67. Again, my mentor says about 67% of the U.S. population has a strong aversion of shots. Now, I've had a number of clients who've come into me. They're local, and I show them how to do their shots right inside of the clinic with me.
Yeah.
And because they're apprehensive. And once they do one, they look at me and they go, you're right, this is a nothing burger.
Yes, correct.
Because it's so easy. The needles are so small. It's very easy to do. But again, there are people out there who, I got some friends that are big, burly guys. I'm like, I just don't like needles.
Right,
but I get it.
I think I'd even asked you when we spoke a few weeks ago, the Dexcom, the G7, for blood glucose monitor, easy for me to say. When you put those on, and those are good for about 7 to 10 days, you put those on, you don't even feel it when you punch it onto your back of your arm, your tricep. And you said, that's pretty much what you're feeling, pretty much nothing. because the needle is so
most people don't understand that there's when you go to a doctor for a vaccine or something like, most of those injections are intramuscular.
Correct. Yes.
So
right.
you're getting a little bit more pain fibers that are being hit.
Yes.
The injections that we use right now before we go to all sprays are subcutaneous into fat.
Yep.
You pinch a little fat, you pop it in and out, and I call it a nothing burger. My wife laughs. She's from Colombia, and she goes, "I never heard of that before. That's a funny word." I go,
I've heard that many times over the years.
Yeah,
That's definitely
an American
a
thing.
U.S. thing. Nothing burger. Yeah. So, so that's good. So now we have obviously a basic understanding of this. If there's a myth that you could break, if you could bust a myth right now when it comes to GLPs, what would that be?
That's really interesting. Is that all GLPs are created the same? I think we've kind of done a good job of saying, okay, GLP-1s and 2s are good, but if they're done correctly. So the myth is I just take a GLP and everything's good. But it's not true. A GLP is done for a specific reason, and if you're just shutting down the food noise, that's great. Now, I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, well, my friends are on all these GLP-1s and 2s, and they just, when they're going to eat, they order all kinds of junk food and they eat stuff. And I said, yeah. Again, so are you putting the right nutrients in your body?
Yep.
Macronutrients, right? Carbs, fats, proteins, and then the micronutrients to get the nutrition that you need in that window you're going to eat. And are you getting enough protein? Because that's really a key as we age. Protein's so important.
Yep.
One of the things, and I guess we should talk about that now, is like when, again, I take my clients, I give them a formula, and I say, okay, what's your ideal weight? And we figure out what their ideal weight is. And then we take that weight in pounds, because we're here in the U.S., and we multiply that times 0.8. That's your minimum. That's your base you shoot for every day. 1, if you're lifting weights and you're working out, which you should be, resistance training, then you can shoot for 1 gram of protein per pound of body fat, if not 0.8. And I tell people it's not easy. Some of the people I follow that are world-class.
Very hard to eat your body weight in grams of protein.
Yeah. That's again, I tell people ideal body weight. So let's say if you're
correct,
20 pounds,
ideal body weight.
If you're 20 pounds overweight, you just take 20 pounds off, and that's what you're shooting for.
Very hard to do. It's very hard to do.
Yeah.
I've done it and struggled with it before, and that's where the supplements come into play a little bit, because they help fill the gaps. But it's hard to eat that much chicken and fish and steak in a day.
Yeah, especially for people that are vegans or vegetarians, right? Because I went to mostly a plant-based diet. Now, I still have salmon. I still eat meat occasionally, but I have to supplement. And I tell people, I supplement with protein powders and protein bars.
Yep.
I have to get that, or I can't get enough in me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a typical American. My wife and I don't cook a lot. We use an air fryer. My wife will make
those air
broccoli.
fryers are great, aren't they?
They're awesome. She makes broccoli, cauliflower, green beans, Brussels sprouts. She cooks beans and stuff, and then cooks a lot, puts it in Pyrex in my refrigerator, and I come home and I put stuff together.
Yep.
And I eat it. But again, if I don't have any salmon to eat, and typically I'm not eating too much other meat, I'm getting a protein shake with it, because I've got to get that protein in every single meal. Why? Because protein is the building block of muscles, right? And I know that maintaining muscle. Now I'll be 67 next month, and maintaining muscle mass is critically important.
It is.
I've taken in the last, since I started doing peptides, I went from 23 point something percent body fat down to 12.6%.
Yeah, I mean
that's
extremely. I've been 12% body fat. Probably there's only 2 points in my life, like after high school and college when I was in my best shape, and then about 4 years ago, for 6 months, I was like dialed in. I didn't eat for 6 months. I fasted for 6 months. I did incorporate some fasting, a little bit, intermittent fasting, with monitored eating with Will Grazione. Mike and I hired Will for 6 months.
Yeah, Will's awesome.
And I had to report a spreadsheet to him with my caloric intake and my exercise on a weekly basis. Yeah. And we would meet and talk about these things. And I got down to like 192 pounds, which was felt light for me. I felt like a little light guy.
You're blowing away in the wind.
But it was really hard to maintain it, you know? I mean, I kept a lot of that for a while. It kind of was good, you know? But eventually you kind of get back into the same habits and routine of things, and then all of a sudden I'm back up to 215 to 220. You know?
I don't think I was under 20% body fat when I was born.
Yeah, no,
So
I mean
I'm the lightest in my life.
you're easily the most fit and leanest that since I've known you in the last 10 years. I mean, yeah.
Now, here's an amazing story. Is my wife is, when we first started doing peptides, the first thing she said to me is, I'm not putting that stuff in my body. Now, if you're a smart married man, you just say, yes, dear.
Yes, honey.
So, but my wife was suffering with chronic joint pain. When she hit menopause, it got, the joint pains really got bad. And my wife is, a lot younger than I am, but she hit menopause a little bit earlier, and it was wreaking havoc with her. And so I took her into a rheumatologist because she thought she had a positive ANA titer, which just means it could be an autoimmune disorder, right? So the guy was great. And he said, on the scale of the high to the lowest, you're at the lowest end of the ANA titer, but let's run some specific tests to see if there's anything there. Sure. He called us up and said, it's you have no autoimmune disorder, it's menopause, right?
Wow.
So my wife happened to meet...
Which can wreak havoc with women in all kinds of ways. Yeah.
Yep. And that's a whole nother subject of hormone replacement therapy, which
Yes.
is so critical.
Some women just need testosterone and all kinds of things just to feel right,
So anyhow, I went... I forgot where I was at, man.
No, but you were talking about her meeting with
Yeah. So anyhow, she met my mentor, and he just talked to her about this peptide called BPC-157, the most researched, commonly used peptide there is probably on the planet. It stands for body protection compound. Again, made in our gut, super protection, lowers inflammation. It has so many different benefits, right? That can help people. And so my wife was convinced, and she started BPC-157 and has been on it since then. And I mean, it has cut the pain in her joints unbelievable. Now she has a lot of her friends coming to me wanting BPC-157.
Wow.
But here's the amazing thing, is my wife had gained around 35 pounds right at the time she started going through menopause, because she also fractured her ankle and had surgery.
I remember that. And it was a lengthy process for healing for her. It took forever.
She was in pain for a year and a half, and she was on this website where they talked about people that finally go and get the metal removed. She did. She went for second surgery, got all the metal removed, and the pain started getting better. She started reducing.
Wow.
But
her body was having a real problem with those metals.
Yeah. It was in August, mid-August. We were on vacation doing a tour in the Great Lakes on a cruise, and she saw my body radically changing from using peptides. And she looked at me, and here's this woman. We were, laying in bed talking. She looked over at me. She goes, "Can I take the GLP-3?" And I said, "Absolutely. I have some extra here with me." My wife, I have to say this, has transformed her body back to her premenopause weight.
Wow.
She's back to being lean, because she's been working out the whole time, but now her body is showing it is lean. All the fat she gained in areas she didn't want is gone now. And I'm so proud of her. Because
And how long of a period of time?
Not even 3 months.
Wow.
3 months, yeah. So it's been amazing. Now, listen, I have to say this. I deal with a lot of women that are at the age where they've been in menopause for a while. And women and men do not lose weight the same rate. Men lose weight a lot faster than women do. But if women do this right, again, we have to tweak sometimes. We have to look at how they respond, what they know. I had a woman call me today. She said, "I've lost 12 pounds, but for the last month, I'm not losing anything." So we were on the phone, and I said to her, "Tell me what you're eating." And you just dial it in, right? She's not eating enough.
Yeah.
And it sounds counterintuitive.
Of course.
But you're not getting enough protein and you're not getting enough calories.
Yeah.
And here's why it's important. If you take your body and you say, here's how much food you need to sustain your body's size and mass, and then you cut the calories down to here. Now, if you're doing it right, your body's going to make up this. If you can't see me, I'm holding my fingers up. You're going to make up that deficit, doing it the right way, in fat, right?
Yes.
But if you take and you don't eat enough calories,
Yes.
your body goes into a whole different protective mechanism.
Yes.
And your thyroid function, just think like a thermostat. It's just going to turn it down and say, we're not going to put as much energy out right now. So you're fighting what's happening. So I said to her, you've got to eat more.
Yes.
You're not eating enough. You got to eat get a couple extra protein shakes a day. I guarantee the next time, because I check on my clients, even the ones that are outside of my area, I have people all over the country. I have them give me 5 numbers. I want to know 5 numbers all the time. So they need a scale, not that expensive. I want to know their weight. I want to know their body percent fat. I want to know their lean mass. I want to know their visceral fat and their subcutaneous fat. Because with the stack that we use for most people, we're looking at the subcutaneous fat is, we'll call it your fat suit. We all have a fat suit. Right? We have an area under the skin that can hold fat. And when that fat suit fills up, and it's different for different people, sometimes skinnier people, their fat suit's not that big before it starts pouring over into and around the organs of the body in the visceral or the gut area, and it's called visceral fat. Yeah. We know now that visceral fat leads towards the disease process. It is the most unhealthy, toxic fat in our bodies. As a matter of fact, some of the more common research today is that all the organs, believe it or not, are talking to each other. They release messenger molecules that communicate with each other, but fat in the abdomen, around this visceral tissue, is also releasing messenger molecules, and it's not telling the other organs good stuff, right? So it's not helping.
They're the gossipers with the bad information.
Yeah, that's right. They're not helping any. So visceral fat is something we need to address. So in the stack that we use for our Alpha Shred program, we're helping control the food noise with GLP-3 and burn more fat. We use another peptide, just happens to be called AOD 9604, and it goes after the fat in the area superficially, right? That subcutaneous fat. For men, it's around our belly and our love handles. For ladies, it's the lower abdomen, the legs, the arms, the areas that they tend to gain weight. Yeah. But then it also helps prevent the formation of new fat cells. So it's really attacking the fat we don't like looking at. Yeah. So and again, we're using low doses, so we're stacking these together to get a synergistic effect. And then we add one more called tesamorelin. Sometimes we change it around, but tesamorelin in the evening to do two things. Number one, it goes after visceral fat, and it helps dissolve and get rid of visceral fat.
And this is all from one injection?
No, they're different. They're different injections.
Different injections.
Yeah. So again, we're stacking these, and we have different frequencies and stuff like that to give people the right formula to get them moving in the right direction.
Are these daily or weekly?
Yeah. Now, with the GLPs, typically we're doing it twice a week. Again, we're using micro doses. So we're doing it twice a week. So we're doing like what one dose would be. We're breaking it up and dividing it. Sometimes when I have to actually increase their GLP-3, which is not that often for some people, is we bump it up and then sometimes take it 3 times a week. Okay. But again, we're breaking the dose up into 3 smaller parts. Again, it depends on what peptides we're using. We're talking right now inside of the fat loss world, right? So the AOD typically is done Monday through Friday in the mornings, tesamorelin Monday through Friday in the evenings. When I say micro doses, they're very small amounts each.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and these obviously these stacks are different from men to women in terms of how much, and right? It's based on size.
Believe it or not, no.
Okay.
Now again, we start everyone out pretty much on the same dosing, and then we adjust it based upon their response to it.
Okay, all right.
Now, with ladies, sometimes some ladies will come in, and then we have to start them depending on how much weight, and men, same thing, how much weight they have to lose. Yeah. Then we will adjust it accordingly, but very rarely do we go up. Sometimes we'll go up a little bit in GLP-3. I've never had to increase AOD or tesamorelin. So, and most people will hit their targets, depending upon how much weight they have to lose, in 4 months is the minimum program we know. Because we know that on that Alpha Shred program, you see the greatest acceleration from week 8 to week 12. That's when you really begin to watch your body change. Yes, I've got pictures of me going from the 8 to 12 weeks, and it's like monstrously different.
Which is actually similar to the results that people would get from naturally making improvements in their health. It can feel like the first 30 days I'm not really noticing much, like maybe I'm sleeping better, or maybe I'm, I have a little bit more energy, or this, that, and the other, but I'm not really feeling the weight coming off yet. But you build that metabolic momentum, and then you do see more as you build steam.
Anything, it's compounding. Right?
Yeah, it's compounding.
It's the same thing
effect,
I tell people when they start lifting weights, right? They start strength training. Yeah. In the beginning, you're not going to see hypertrophy. Size change. Right. What you're going to get is recruitment of more muscle fibers that have been dormant. Yeah. So you get stronger, but you don't see it. Right. But then all of a sudden, when you do it long enough and you're eating right, putting the right stuff in, and this is your wheelhouse, right? Then all of a sudden, hypertrophy happens.
It's that slow, and then you just hit that. You hit that arc, and then you feel that exponential growth for sure. That compound effect. Yeah, that's
compounded
pretty
interest.
awesome. And I just want to reiterate to those people listening, obviously, doing this, a peptide treatment or working with Dr. Ron, that's one thing. And I see there's great value in it, especially for people that are serious. And that's the side I want to touch on is like, don't just do it willy-nilly and then not make any changes with your lifestyle and your habits. You have to consider, maybe I need to walk more. Maybe I need to work on getting better sleep. Maybe I need to focus on protein and healthy fats, and maybe minimize my carbohydrate intake, which is most of us. We typically overeat carbs and undereat protein, and then our fat isn't coming from the right places. Our hydration sucks. Most people walk around dehydrated. They don't drink enough water. You should always start your day with water. Have water with every meal. It's just good protocol. And drink while you're working out. And the old Vince Gironda stuff of he would tell his bodybuilders not to drink water while they worked out. Whatever. Most people aren't bodybuilders or going to be professional bodybuilders. So hydrate your body with water as often as you can. And then it's just consistency of those things. How consistent are you with your strength training, with your walking, with your good sleep, with your protein first and healthy fats? And if you're consistent over a period of 90 to 120 days or so, that's when you get in a rhythm and you have good habits you've established now. And hopefully those good habits are outweighing all those bad habits that you've accumulated over your lifetime. And I still have bad habits. I'm sure you have 67 years on this earth, so you've kind of confronted, I think, a lot of your bad habits and done a good job. Not all of them. I know some of them. I won't rat you out right now. But I think when it comes to health and fitness and nutrition and those things, I think you've done. You're also pretty well educated. Kind of a lot of things, and you've made a lot of lifestyle choices and habit. So you're the perfect example of somebody that practices what he preaches, which is another thing in the world of health and in the professional side of things. People have a real problem with taking advice from a cardiologist who's 275 pounds, or you know what I mean. Yeah. And I'm just saying, in the health community, there's a lot of people who still go out and smoke and do all these other things. And you're like, I don't even want to. This is a person who is doing and living the life that, that he is hopefully helping you to live. Yeah.
I haven't taken all the peptides, but I've taken, I've done, listen, I hit, for whatever reason, I went about 5 or 6 months. I was always an 8-hour sleeper. I look at the clock before I go to sleep. Yeah. And Chris knows I go to sleep at between 7 and 8, but I'm up at 3 in the morning. Yeah. Between 2 and 3.
That's even gotten like you were more of like a 5 a.m. guy going to bed between 8 and 9, and you've just continued to creep it back, haven't you?
Yep. I'm going to be like an owl, just like up at night and sleeping during the day.
Give this guy 5 more years. He's going to bed at 6. He's waking up at 2 in the morning, and then like, why isn't anybody up yet?
By the way, I love the first time.
I know you did.
I love it. I love it.
I know.
But the problem was I would always look at the clock before I go to sleep, and I count 8 hours, and that was my goal. And I did that for 7.5 to 8 hours, no problem.
Yeah.
I went for 5 or 6 months, and I was waking up 5 to 6 hours most sleep. So about 5.5 was an average. And I know you have to have plenty of sleep, and I understand sleep science. I could talk about that for a long time, but it's so important, even from the standpoint of weight, to get good sleep.
Yeah.
And so, again, I contacted my mentor, and I go, okay, what do we got here? And so he recommended, and I followed there's another peptide called epithalin. And I did a course of epithalin for 10 days in a row, and it resets your circadian rhythm. And I got to tell you, I've been sleeping 7 to 8 hours now every night. Occasionally, I'll wake up 6.5 hours like that, but I'm back to like my.
So if you're in bed, falling asleep between 7 and 7:30, you're waking up 3-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every day.
Wow. And this is not an alarm clock. Obviously, you're not.
No alarm clock.
You're going to bed at a time where you don't have to really worry that, I'm going to oversleep.
Yeah, my watch is set. I have an Apple Watch, and my watch is set to go off at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, just in case. Yeah.
And it might be, a handful of times a year where my watch will actually wake me up, and that's when I'm out of rhythm.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's great. And it's, sleep is that kind of boring topic that people are like, yeah, sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead and all this stuff. And
I've heard all that stupid stuff for years.
It's just so huge when it comes to how you recover, your muscle health, your cognitive function. Right. I mean, sleep is when your body goes in and is the custodian of your brain, and the blood flow goes to the brain to wash out all those toxins and all that debris and all that crap that we don't need up there because it's not in your gut at that point, right? Yeah. The blood, and I was just listening to a really good a biologist that was on the Sean Ryan podcast talking, and Sean had asked him, like, what are 5 health things that, like, everybody should... Anyway, one thing that really resonated with me was when he was talking about sleep as one of those 5 things. Yeah. Is that when we don't get those hours of sleep, our body does a very lousy job of getting blood flow to the brain because we end up overeating and eating too close to our bedtime. So now all our blood is in our gut, trying to digest and do all these other things that really what we want is when our head hits the pillow, we want that blood flow to go up here, up to our heads, and do all that good washing of everything that's going on up there.
I get people's attention. I say it's not so boring of a subject if we talk about how many people are getting Alzheimer's.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And dementia. So we go, okay, now if we can get people's attention with that, we say, here's the key.
Yep.
Our brains inside of our skull do not have any what's called lymphatic system.
Yeah, correct.
Right, which is it's the garbage disposal system outside of the brain.
Yes.
Right? We can take our metabolic waste and we get it out, we get rid of it through the lymphatic system first. Well, in the brain, it represents 2% of the body weight, but 20%
energy
of the energy consumption of the body.
Yep.
So where do all these metabolites or waste products go to? We didn't know until about, I want to say within the last decade, the University of Buffalo figured out that the supporting cells around the neurons, the brain cells, are called glial cells, and they shrink up to 200% of their original size when we sleep during different phases, allowing for the what's called cerebral spinal fluid that bathes our brain to wash in and take away all those waste products. Wow. If we don't get adequate sleep, we're leaving behind certain proteins, and they believe tau proteins are the ones that are responsible for now building up over time and causing dementia.
Wow.
They used to think that dementia causes sleep shortening, but they think now it's the opposite. Improper sleep now is leading towards dementia. Now, again, they still have a lot more work to do to discover this. But when it comes to fat, if we're not sleeping right, that works against us. We'll eat more as a result of it.
Wow. And one more thing too to harp on is and you see this, Val, and you are really good in this department. The importance for men and women to focus on strength training of their body is like crucial. In fact, I heard somebody else talking. It was somebody in the medical community, and they said they were naming 2 things. If you just did 2 things different in your life, and one of them was strength training for overall everything. But I think they were hitting it from a cognitive focus, cognitive effect. When we strength train, the effect that it has on everything, on our muscles, on our bones, on our fascia, on everything. And grip strength in particular, funny enough, right? Because it's not just about grip. It's about what is that indicative of? If someone has really good grip strength as they age, well, it's probably because they're doing X, Y, Z, and the side effect of that is that their bones are strong and they're muscular in ways that they need to for just daily function. It's a really cool way to be able to assess someone's overall fitness and health is their ability to grip. Yep.
Believe it or not, big toe strength too.
Big toe strength.
Really important indicators. We get older and stuff like that. I said, my wife, she's not going to have a problem. I always joke around because she can separate her toes and stuff.
Yeah. Spread them out.
And kind of like monkey feet. And I hope she doesn't hear this, Pep. Gonna have to edit this part out.
They're beautiful feet.
They're beautiful
but
feet.
she can move her toes in different. That's why you got here early. You saw us doing yoga. Yeah. Well, that's one activity that I do weekly. That I'm barefoot, and it's a hard session. We have a yoga instructor come in, and she kicks our butt, and I'm doing stuff that I would never do on my own, but I'm doing stuff barefoot. and postures and holds and things where I'm grabbing my big toe and holding my leg out in front of me, and just something like what we did today. I want to still be able to do that.
I could grab your big toe and stick my leg out, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's just so valuable. So, what's one thing that you would like people to know before starting peptide protocol?
Get educated. Get educated by somebody who knows what they're talking about. I was telling you a story before we get on here that one of my friends, he's a retired police officer, and he's about 50 pounds overweight, and I see him at the gym all the time. And I said to him, hey, listen, I'm doing this thing here, got a clinic right down the street. You know me. He goes, well, can you email me the information? So I said, yeah. So I emailed him the information on our Alpha Shred program. And he says, well, I'm going to talk to my doctor about I'm going in for my physical. So he went in for his physical. I saw him, and I'm very careful. It's like I stopped approaching him because it's like some people you just know that they're just never going to do anything. And so he said, yeah, I talked to my doctor, and my doctor said, I showed him the stuff, and he goes, yeah, you shouldn't do peptides. He says, but you should do Zepbound because that's what my doctor has me on. And I just rolled my eyes, and I just looked, and I went, listen, I wasn't there, but this is how ridiculous that is.
Yeah.
He's telling you don't do peptides, but he recommended you do Zepbound, which is a peptide. Which all that says to me is that he's probably brilliant in his area, but he doesn't know spit about this area of peptides, which is what I find all the time.
All the time.
And everybody in the gym's an expert. Everybody everywhere is an expert on things, as we know. So they have part of the information, and a lot more opinion than they do have information.
Yeah, sometimes we just put way too much weight in somebody who's maybe a medical doctor of some kind. Name your area of practice. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they know spit about good nutrition or good exercise protocol or good, there's a lot of areas to health. Health is a massive thing, and there's no one person that knows everything.
The average amount of education, now it used to be, I'm not sure about today, but how much training in nutrition that they get in medical school?
It's got to be. I mean, if they're in medical school for 12 years, I'm sure it's less than a few months of that.
No, it's 2 hours.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Now,
ridiculous.
I'll say this in defense of some of the friends that I have that are medical doctors who are specialized in functional medicine, and they're into these areas. They're into peptides. They're into stem cell injections.
That's different.
They're looking at ways, how can we get out of the box and help people really gain function from when they have a stroke to when they have diabetes, like all different ways. How can we go beyond that box that the system says you should stay in when there's so much out there? I mean, I remember when I graduated from chiropractic college and I was practicing in Sarasota, and I'd hear people say stuff, and I just would just roll my eyes. And I'm like, they just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I literally had a gym set up, and a young lady working for me. We're just there to introduce, and anybody want to talk about peptides, and a couple ladies who were retired nurses. And I have massive respect for nurses, because you know how many nurses came to me when I was in practice and came to the doctors, took over my practice? Yeah. Massive, because they hurt their backs and they're hurting their musculoskeletal system all the time doing their work.
Yeah, it's very physical work.
And usually most nurses that I've dealt with have great respect for they love their chiropractors, right? Yeah. But these two ladies just happened to have a chip on their shoulder, and they were picking on the gal who worked for me and like, who's behind this and stuff like that. And he's a doctor. Yes. What kind of doctor? He's a chiropractor. Oh, they're not really doctors and stuff. And I haven't heard that in a long time. But I go, look, the bottom line is you either know what you're talking about or you don't know what you're talking about. I know a lot of chiropractors who are coming to me for advice now, and I've got a couple of chiropractors I'm treating. I'm helping them with peptide therapy to drop the body fat that they've gained over the years. And again, nobody's immune from it in America. We're all subject to it. And there's the right way to do it, and then there's the uneducated way of doing it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I've known and met and been around a lot of chiropractors in my day. My dad was a big believer in the chiropractor that he went to. This is back up in Connecticut, back in the 80s. And he would go get adjustments regularly. But my dad was fit and active and really into, being in good shape, even though he was an alcoholic. He was one of those, one of those people, high-functioning alcoholic, owned his own business, but had a real focus on his own fitness. Even though he was a smoker and a drinker, he still had this, I want to be strong and fit. And I was exposed to his chiropractor. In fact, when I would have like a sprain or a strain, he would just have me go with him to the chiropractor for X-rays and stuff like that. He would use his chiropractor for me for
primary health care.
Yeah, pretty much. But, knowing you, I worked for a chiropractor for years when I was running the fitness and tennis center. He was the owner of the building and had his chiropractic business inside the tennis and fitness center, which is kind of commonplace. A lot of fitness and health centers will have a chiropractic business kind of inside. And he was really into health and fitness and trying to get people into good shape so that they didn't have to go and see him quite so often, which is really the role of a good chiropractor is, shouldn't have to come see me 3 times a week for the rest of your life.
Every healthcare practitioner should be looking, how can we eliminate the problem?
Yes.
Let's get to the root cause.
Yes.
And then eliminate the symptoms. That's why I tell people, if we can get your diet healthy, eating just right, you can go on lower doses if that's your choice and still have an incredible, body, good composition the way you want it. Now, everybody's shaped different, but again, I've got some nightmare stories of people I've watched who've gone out and done the traditional. Women came back. I didn't even recognize them. They lost their booty. And they said, "Yeah, I lost my feminine curves and stuff like that." And I'm like, that's not good. Men like the curves on ladies.
And women are going to carry a little bit more body fat naturally. I mean, it's just the way they're designed. And that's what brings that femininity and that curvy body that men love. I mean, I know I love it. I don't want a beanpole, and I don't want somebody that's 8 to 10% body fat either. That's not healthy for women.
No. It changes everything in their lives. Anyhow, so again, my recommendation for people is to do it right. To recognize the cheap route is not always the best route.
Yes.
The fair route and the right route is the best route. Get somebody who knows what they're talking about. Somebody who will actually follow you, check your numbers, tweak things along the way, and care about you.
And because these clinics are becoming more and more prevalent nationally, not just here in Sarasota, Florida. Now, speaking of which, for anybody that is in the Florida area, how can they connect with you and your clinic and maybe do a consultation with you? Yeah. Do you do stuff by phone or by like Google Meet or Zoom?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I got clients all over the United States right
now.
So, I've got them in the Northeast. I got them as far out as Washington, the state of Washington.
Wow.
And people are getting incredible results. Again, it's about every 2 weeks checking in on them, making sure they have the right scale so they can measure, give me the right numbers, tweak any problems they have, call me when they have any issues. So I do a free consultation with people. It's about 15 minutes. Again, to first determine are they interested in moving forward. If they are, then I'll spend more time with them. Right? Because again, free 15 minutes is 15 minutes of my time. I can only do so much of those. We've got the beginning of the year we're going to be inundated with tons of calls. So people can reach out to me. Our clinic number is 941-799-6583. That's 941-799-6583. Always remember I get this right there.
I hope so.
I don't have to memorize it.
We can go back and fix it if it's wrong.
Yeah, just go back, see the number up there. And then they can reach out by calling me. I'll answer, or they can leave a message. I'd be more than glad to set up that time with them when it's convenient for both of us, answer any questions, email them information. Again, I always tell people, I said, it's my primary goal is to serve you. I'm in business to make a profit. Sales come afterwards. If I can serve you, then I make sales, and that's the only thing. So if I give somebody information and it's not for them, we're still friends.
Is there also an online platform besides the phone call, or are you getting there?
We are in the process of redoing the website.
Oh, okay.
And my son is the one responsible, keeps begging me for more information, and it's like, I'm actually getting ready to release, and again, marketing, right? So I created an ebook on GLP, the GLP Guide to Weight Loss, and it's free, right? And our goal is to we'll do some marketing, let people download it, and then, I'll offer them something else, and then I'll reach out to them and say, would you like to continue the conversation to enter into that? So
awesome.
People are welcome to do that, but just really calling, because I'm one of those people where if I can't answer the phone, then I'll let it go to voicemail, leave me a message. And by the way, when I call you back, because that number rolls into my mobile number, I will call you back from a 484 number. So it's 484-515-4040. That's my personal number. I know people just don't take advantage of it. They don't abuse it. So it's 484-515-4040 to get directly to me.
Awesome.
If I don't answer it, leave a message, and I'll get back to you.
That's awesome. It's again, Dr. Ron in the Sarasota, Florida area. Just such a great guy, stand-up guy, a mentor and a friend of ours, of Mike Westerdahl and mine here at Critical Bench. And one extra little cool side fact is that if it wasn't for Dr. Ron, I don't know what the name of this podcast would be. Because about 8 or 9 years ago, when you came up here and spent a day with Mike and I talking about mission and vision of our company, and we came up with the "You Are Strong by Design" mantra, it was about a year or two later when we went ahead and moved forward with a podcast. We were like, what are we going to call this podcast? We don't want to call it the Critical Bench Podcast. We're going to Strong by Design. Yeah. And it became the Strong by Design podcast, and largely due to you helping us kind of come up with that. And obviously we've been riding that wave for many years now. So
it's really funny because I follow you guys, and I love the stuff you put out. And I got to tell you, some of the women you have on there, I would not take my shirt off in front of them because they got bigger muscles than I do. And I'm like,
yeah, we've had some amazing people in this building. You know, we're out in the side of the compound where we do a lot of our production and filming, and, you know, for whether it's YouTube or product and programming and stuff. And, you know, that sometimes it's fun. We have the space out here and set up the podcast in different ways. And it's amazing what we've done in this building in 10 years now that we've been here. Yeah. You know, hopefully there's more good to come. I mean, we're 400 plus episodes in, but we're not slowing down, and the show is still so much fun, and we still get to bring in so many great people and return guests. So we just thank you for your time and traveling up here to us. It's always better to do these in person. You know, so you know, much love and respect, and you know, we just wish you really well in this year 2026, and with your peptide therapies and stuff. And
we'll have to come back and talk more about the sports,
I think so.
The sports end of it, and how we can help with other peptides.
I think we should definitely do that, because there's so many different directions we could go in with this topic. And we hope you who tuned in for this episode of Strong by Design got something out of this. Please share it with a friend or a family member. We encourage you to send this to somebody that you care about, somebody who maybe needs to make some adjustments or some changes to their lifestyle, or maybe, you know, find some good habits and overcome some bad ones. And this can benefit anybody. And you're never too young. I mean, maybe you're in your 30s or 40s and kind of lost your way a little bit, or maybe you're in your 50s or 60s and you want to start really looking closely at how you're living your life and aging well. We encourage you to definitely share this with somebody that could benefit from the message today. We thank you so much for supporting the podcast, and we look forward to coming back in our next episode. God bless you. Talk with you soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.